So let's go back to King Plistonax. Now keep in mind at this point we're a couple of generations removed from Leonidas. Thus it's possible King Plistonax could have had children Alexios and Kassandra's age in 431 BCE at the start of the Second Peloponnesian War. So is Plistonax our third candidate as a royal relative to a real-life Alexios and Kassandra? Maybe, but not likely. The thing is, the only descendant of Plistonax that we know of for sure is his son Pausanias, named of course after his grandfather, which was the style at the time. And since Pausanias' children would have been too young to qualify as a real-life Alexios and Kassandra, it seems we've hit a dead end. But wait forsooth, King Plistonax did have two younger brothers, and their children would have been just the right age to qualify as a real-life Alexios and Kassandra. These brothers were named Cleomenes and Aristocles. They make a very brief appearance in books 3 and 5 of Thucydides, respectively. Cleomenes, not insane, led a Spartan invasion into Attica a few years after the outbreak of the Second Peloponnesian War, around 427 BCE, possibly while serving as king regent for his young nephew Pausanias. Meanwhile, Aristocles had been helping their brother Plistonax return to Sparta from exile around 428 BCE. By the way, the whole exile thing and the agate crown bouncing between father and son is kind of a long story, so I'm just going to skip it for now. But hey, let me know if you want me to talk about it in a future podcast. At any rate, we have two more possible connections to Leonidas, in this case through his great-nephews Prince Aristocles and Prince Cleomenes. Yay, we did it! We found every possible real-life relation to King Leonidas, and we showed all the ways it could have been related to Alexios and Kassandra. Let's just go ahead and pat ourselves on the back. Wait, what? What do you mean there's one more? Okay, I said there were only 4 possible royal candidates, but technically there might be a 5th. His name was Aristodemos, and he was the close relative of the Aegean king Aegispolis. Aegispolis was the son of King Pausanias, whom as we know was the grandson of King Regent Pausanias, who was the nephew of King Leonidas, which made Aegispolis the, let me see if I get this right, great-nephew of King Leonidas. Now initially I almost didn't include Aristodemos since we're past the Peloponnesian War at this point. In fact, we're now into the Corinthian War, which started in the early 4th century BCE. However, there's still a small chance this relative was alive and of battle age in the closing years of the Second Peloponnesian War, which ended in 404 BCE. Now why would I think that? Because the historian Xenophon, who's our main source on Aristodemos, never bothers to clarify how Aristodemos was related to King Aegispolis. He only says that Aristodemos was acting as king regent for his underage relative, and I know that's like the 4th king regent I've mentioned in this podcast, and that he won a victory over Sparta's enemies at Corinth sometime in the early 4th century BCE. And that's really all we know about him, because Xenophon only mentions Aristodemos once in a sort of offhanded manner. Seriously, blink and you miss the name. But if we look back at everything we've established about king regents, it's likely Aristodemos was either an older cousin or uncle to the young king, which means we're free to speculate that Aristodemos could have been the otherwise unmentioned son of King Plistonax and younger brother of King Pausanias, which would make Aristodemos old enough to be active in the Peloponnesian War, though probably only at the tail end of it. At the very least, Aristodemos' existence proves that Plistonax or one of his brothers, either Cleomenes or Aristocles, might have had children we don't know about or know very little about. And who knows what Aristodemos and his invisible siblings were doing during the Peloponnesian War. Maybe one of them was a spear for hire? Whew, that was a lot of information. So let's quickly summarize. In a historical context, could the protagonists of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Alexios and Kassandra, have had real-life counterparts that would have been the descendants of Leonidas? As established, they couldn't be direct descendants, but they could have been his great-great-niece and nephew through 4, possibly 5, known relatives. Euryanix, son of Leonidas' older brother Dorias, Nicomedes, son of Leonidas' younger brother Cleombrotos, Cleomenes, brother of Leonidas' great-nephew Plistonax, Aristocles, also brother of King Plistonax, and possibly through another Aegean royal, Aristodemos. So there you go. All the real-life possible relatives of Alexios and Kassandra. Now we're left with 2 very crucial questions. What about Alexios and Kassandra's mercenary status? Would Spartan royalty ever have allowed themselves to be spears for hire? And would they have wielded some sort of special spear? The answers will surprise you. Stay tuned for parts 2 and 3 to find out. In the meantime, questions, comments, suggestions? Hit me up on Twitter at MEGHAN_IGN, Instagram at Celtic_Queen_Meg, and I promise at some point I'll set up a special email account just for this podcast, and I'll let you know about that very soon. Okay guys, enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, or hey, all of the above. Bye!
Vidas que me